had a nice weekend getaway and went over to the souk area on Vancouver Island and had a wonderful weekend, enjoying just time away from normal life, which is rare but wonderful, and enjoyed when we do it. We went up to Botanical Beach, and what a beautiful place. So on our getaway, I took a lot of my photography equipment with me, but our trip was about having a getaway together, the two of us. So honestly, I barely used my tripod or my filters. I mainly just stuck with one lens and enjoyed the places that I was in. And sometimes that's the most important thing, is just to enjoy the beauty and not get caught up on getting the perfect shot. That being said, wow, there was a lot of beautiful scenery and I loved some of the shots that I got.
The drive up to Port Renfrew is really lovely. It's got lots of gorgeous views, and we decided that our first stop would be to head to Fairy Lake and see if we could get a good shot of the fairy tree.
This tree at Fairy Lake is definitely iconic for photographers. It's a beautiful little tree out in the middle of the lake, growing out of a stump. But unfortunately, the sun's not happening for us right now. We've come at the wrong time of day, maybe. But we'll just stay and wait and hope for some better light. I'm using a 10-stop filter on this shot to try to smooth out the water a little bit, make it a little bit softer and beautiful.
I was really pleased, given the conditions that we had, with how well this turned out. When I tried with the 6-stop filter, it just wasn't enough, but with that 10-stop filter, I really liked the texture that I got in this shot. I also really liked the natural sort of gradient that the forest behind gave from light to dark on the water. So next we carried on to Botanical Beach.
We're hiking down to Botanical Beach and it's so lovely here in the forest. The birds are chirping. The water's rushing past. It's lovely.
It's quite a lonely world that we're living in. Oh, baby, you are something special, I'm sure. Everything makes total sense when you're next to me.
The name of Botanical Beach is not surprising at all, given the amount of intertidal life that we saw here. The tide pools are filled with a wonderful variety of really interesting plants and creatures. We had a lot of fun looking for anemones and starfish and such. The way that the sandstone has been shaped by the tides is really fascinating. We watched for whales out offshore, but we didn't spot any this time, even though this is right when they were migrating.
My husband has gone off to explore the tide pools around the corner, just over there. But there's a lot of barnacles on the ground and lots of stuff to get into, and poor Blue's toes can't quite handle it. So Blue and I are staying here. But she doesn't want to leave my husband, so I can't get her to walk much further. So we can't do much exploring. We're just going to sit here in one spot, and I'm going to have a new challenge. I'm going to see how many shots I can get from sitting in one location.
So as I sat there on the beach, I was just so blown away by the waves. I could have watched all day long. So beautiful. I quite like this second image. There's something kind of peaceful about it. I think maybe it's the repeating lines of the clouds and the ocean and the shoreline. For this third shot, I really would have liked to have moved down amongst those rocks to find, a better, stronger foreground and maybe some leading lines that laid out to that splashing wave out there. I was really excited when this fellow walked just to the right spot with that wave crashing right in front of him. And he was only there for a brief second, so the timing was perfect, but again, too bad I couldn't get out and get a little closer to him. Yep, and there she was, Blue, looking all smug. She got her way. When my husband got back, we carried on down the beach, and when I found this tree, I took 2 shots. I exposed one for the highlights and one for the shadows, but because they were handheld, they just really didn't stack together very well. So what I ended up doing was just pushing the shadows in the one image that I had exposed for the highlights. Now, I really don't think it's a great image itself, but what it was nice to see was how well I could lift those shadows from this dark image. There was a lot of fringing around, especially where the trees meet the sky, and there was quite a bit of noise, but that's okay because it just showed me how well I'm able to boost those shadows if I need to. When you're next to me. This little pool had a tide pool Johnny in it. They're little tiny fish that are actually called sculpins. Can you see them? This is what he looked like uncamouflaged. The waves were all about the drama. I used a fast shutter speed to try to catch that action. I almost got soaked by this one. It was incredible to see these vast beds of blue mussels. But with so many creatures underfoot, I really wanted to minimize my impact. So instead of going too much further, I made my way back over to the forest trail. For this picture of Blue, again, I took 2 photos, one exposed for the highlights and one for the shadows. And I worked for a whole bunch of time on the stacked images, and then I realized that for all of the issues that I was trying to solve, it just was not worth it. It was much better to just use the single image that I had exposed for the highlights and then boost the shadows up. Without a tripod, working with those 2 stacked images, it's just a whole lot of painful work. We made our way over to Botany Bay, and we sat at the top of a cliff and just were completely mesmerized by the beauty of the waves crashing into the shore. It was amazing. And there was this one brave fellow who was willing to jump into the freezing cold water. It just looked like so much fun. I think maybe that's the next thing I need to learn how to do. I need to learn how to surf because this looked like absolute fun. gonna catch the next one. Oh, no, that one's too small. Okay, here he goes. This is the one. No, not that one. Oh, okay, here he goes. Yes. So much fun. So, what an extraordinary day we had. It was wonderful. These are the kind of days that really fill your soul, don't they? I hope you enjoyed this visit to Vancouver Island. Please do click on that like button for this video, and if you want to see more, please do subscribe. Thanks for coming along. We'll see you next time.